Growing up in the Varuhas village of Martigurt in Artsakh, John enjoyed a happy childhood filled with laughter and adventure. On September 19th, 2023, Azeri shells rained down on his village, forcing 8-year-old John, his mother Inara, and his 5 siblings to flee overnight on foot to a nearby village. They could not carry any belongings, not even their family pictures or memorabilia. The next day, they were taken to Stepanakert in the back of a military truck. The 2-hour journey to the town of Goris lasted over 60 hours. The unending journey, along with 50 other people, was exhausting. Throughout the grueling journey, thoughts of her husband Sarkis's safety tormented Inara. He was a soldier dangerously stationed on the border. Where is he? Is he safe? Will we ever see him again? The Red Cross later took the Arostamians to the AMAA's Shin Shohig camp in Honkovan, where they arrived physically exhausted and emotionally drained. The family was welcomed by the comforting smiles of the AMAA and the evangelical church staff. The AMAA sheltered the Arostamians for 4 months and provided them with rest, hot meals, clothing, and hygienic products, enabling the family to recover from the devastating trauma. As the family was settling in AMAA's camp, God miraculously saved Sarkis's life from certain death. He was able to evade the fate of his fellow soldiers and break through the enemy siege. He later joined his family at AMAA's Honkovan camp. The story of John and his family is part of a centuries-long pattern of displacement and oppression that has plagued the people of Artsakh. Artsakh has historically been an integral part of Armenia, dating back to the 6th century BC. The 121 monasteries and churches scattered throughout the country attest to the rich spiritual and cultural heritage of this blood-soaked land. In violation of their rights, Joseph Stalin placed Artsakh under the administration of Azerbaijan. Worried for their safety, the Armenians of Artsakh demanded independence. The 4-year war of 1991 ensued, and the Artsakhi people secured their independence. The Armenian Missionary Association of America launched its Artsakh ministries in 1995. Over the next decades, AMAA's humanitarian, educational, Christian, cultural, and youth programs enriched the lives and minds of thousands of Artsakhi children and adults. The Child Sponsorship Program provided financial and medical aid. Mothers unable to breastfeed received infant formula. 4 AMAA kindergartens provided quality preschool education. Destitute children with emotional and behavioral problems received hope-inspiring education and psychological care at AMAA's 2 Shog Day centers. Every summer, hundreds of children and youth enjoyed unforgettable camp fun, worshiped God, and were delighted by the Christian love experienced at AMAA's Bedrosian camp in Shushi. 25 years later, everything changed. The 44-day war of 2020 shattered the relative peace and caused unimaginable loss and suffering. Over 5,000 Armenian soldiers were martyred, leaving behind a carnage of wailing widows, inconsolable mothers, and helpless orphans. Having lost everything, tens of thousands of elderly men, women, and children poured into Armenia in search of safety and peace. The AMAA provided shelter, food, medicine, and winter clothing to thousands of uprooted people. Hundreds of families received rent subsidies and cash gifts to meet daily needs. The Empower an Artsakh Family program provided small business grants and scholarships to dozens of families. Many Artsakhis achieved financial independence and restored their personal dignity. The deployment of Russian peacekeepers, following the ceasefire of November 10, 2020, gave a sense of security to the people of Artsakh. Many returned to their homes. The AMAA renovated the war-damaged homes of 16 families. 1,000 children received sets of complete winter outfits and children's Bibles. Children received educational software-loaded tablets. The relative peace was short-lived. Blinded by centuries-old hatred of Armenians, the enemy poured fuel over the fire of Armenian suffering. On December 12, 2022, Azerbaijan imposed a blockade on Artsakh, cutting it off from the outside world. Severe shortages of food, medicine, fuel, and other necessities ensued. Life came to a standstill. During these excruciatingly trying months, God's grace enabled the AMAA to alleviate the suffering. AMA offices, kindergartens, educational centers, and other services remained fully operational. 3 kindergartens and 2 after-school show day centers continue to educate and feed their children. The AMAA Artsakh camp program provided a reprieve from depressed home atmospheres. Incredibly, God pierced the impenetrable Azari blockade, allowing the AMAA to bring in much-needed infant formula. Hundreds of babies were saved from malnutrition. To feed its insatiable hunger for Armenian suffering, on September 19, 2023, the enemy launched an unexpected military offensive, bombing villages and violently killing innocent villagers, including school children. The mass exodus of the entire population ensued. 104,000 Artsakh citizens arrived in Armenia, with eyes screaming emotions of abandonment, betrayal, and bewilderment. Orphaned children were confused and could not understand why mommy and daddy were not around. AMAA and ECA staff welcomed the exhausted arrivals, served them hot meals, and provided rest. Hundreds were directed to AMAA facilities where they received shelter, food, and spiritual support. Thousands of others were assisted with life necessities. Having been robbed of everything and choked with misery and pain, the people of Artsakh needed to rebuild their shattered lives. The AMA responded with Project Revive. For the short term, Project Revive offers spiritual support, psychological aid, rent subsidies, and temporary shelters and necessities to thousands of Artsakhis. For the long term, Project Revive empowers the people of Artsakh to secure housing and earn income. It restores their financial independence and personal dignity and supports farmers to obtain land and equipment. The AMAA helps families to relocate to a designated village in Armenia where they can restore the lifestyle and bonds of their original villages in Artsakh. Under the indifferent gaze of the international community, the people of Artsakh have endured illegal occupation, brutal violence, and debilitating insecurity. They have been stripped of their inalienable right to live peacefully in their historic homeland. The brave people of Artsakh deserve peace and comfort in their new homeland. The AMAA is by their side and determined to revive them to create the pleasant and peaceful lives that is long overdue to them.
Միասին Արցախահայության կողքին.
Together with the Armenians of Artsakh.